So I think it has been probably 6 years since I've done my last board game collection video. And I've actually filmed this video multiple times. I really haven't been a fan of how it comes out. Because I don't want to take my camera and I don't want to have to go through my shelf and point to everything. I kind of just want to go through certain sections one at a time and talk about things about them. Because, you know, me personally, I feel like different games resonate with different people. And me just kind of glossing over an entire collection on multiple shelves, I feel like I'm doing not nearly enough justice for what a lot of these games are. So I don't know how many parts this is going to be, but this is going to be part one of my game collection updated for 2023. Now this one I would say is 99.9% of everything I have on my side wooden shelf, and it's basically, it was what was left over from scrap that was originally my my daughter's shelving that was used for her old room in her old house. And I'm just using it to house a lot of the smaller games that I have. I currently have 2.5, 3 shelves that I'm using for all my tabletop stuff. Ideally, what I would really like is to have one shelf, maybe kind of kitty cornered in that part of the room, or not kitty corner, but hugging the corner, and just putting everything over there. Because what I want would be put all the games over on this side, put media on this side, and then I can have a long table going from the wall down, kind of like how they used to do you know, trading or collectible card games, trading card game tournaments. I kind of want that set up, but maybe that'll be another video for another time. So just gonna kind of get into it. This is part one. I guess this is the small games, if you will. I want to preface that as I do this multi-part video series, not every game I'm going to mention I have played, and a lot of that is not everyone wants to play these when you buy them, and I have definitely come down from the collector mindset of, you know, I see videos on YouTube or at game night of people playing games, and I'll just want to go out and buy them. I'm getting away from that because having the collector mentality when it comes to board gaming is very dangerous and very upsetting, because you're going to learn really quick that you're just not going to get these to the table as fast as you think you are. And unlike a video game, you can put in a video game at any time and play it when you have free time. With a board game, that's not the case, because you're going to need at least one other person, and in some cases you're going to need at least 3. So let's get into it. Part 1, the small games. Alright, so this one I just got because I think, honestly, I saw it at a local little antique consignment store, and the people there, his thing was, the guy who runs the place, really cool guy, and he had multiple unsealed, or multiple sealed copies of this all around his store, and his gimmick was, he liked the game so much that he wanted people to just take it home and play it. And when I asked him, he goes, well, because he's a fan of Game Night, he grew up with Game Night back in the 70s and 80s, and he wanted to, you know, even with a game like this small, he's like, there's no reason why you can't. And it's just Farkle, brand new copy of Farkle. I think I even, the cost on this is $2.99. I think I paid $1.50 for it. It's just a dice rolling, trick taking game. Not quite in the vein of Yahtzee. I'm not too familiar on the rules. Yeah, and it doesn't really tell me. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. So you get points based on sets of dice. Okay, yeah, I got it, yeah. So, pretty simple concept. It's just Yahtzee, except not nearly as, you know, constrictive. Something I'm noticing I have here, which is not a game, but it's actually an expansion-esque to a game. And that is Ticket to Ride Play Pink. Now, this was a special promotion that the BCRF, along with Days of Wonder, was doing. They were selling this module, which allows for a 6th player to be played on Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe, and it's all pink. And this plays, like I said, this adds the 6th player, and I thought it was a good idea to get. I thought it was for $5. I'm like, why not? And plus, it's going to breast cancer funding research. So I was like, cool, I'm all about that. What I don't like is when I saw people were buying them and then turning around and trying to sell them for like $20+. And the comments of all of those were like, you do know they openly advertised that this was a $5 project, right? So it didn't really go well for them. But no, it's cool to have that. I think I haven't tried playing Ticket to Ride at 6 players. I have played it at 4. I think maybe even 5. The board gets very, very tight at 4. I'd say maybe Ticket to Ride could be best at 3 and 4, but I think 5 is overkill. 6 has got to be chaos. But anyway, that's just me. The next is a card game, which I have 2 versions of, because this game has multiple themes to it, and that's the Flux series. And I have Monty Python, and I have Wizard of Oz. I got this at Goodwill, and I got this on clearance at Barnes & Noble. Now, the game of Flux is really fun. It's also really frustrating, because the whole point of the game is that the rules keep changing, hence the name Flux. Like, things are always moving, things are always changing. So, like, you'll have goals that you'll play. It's like, oh, well, like in the Wizard of Oz, in order to win the game, you'll need to have, Dorothy and the bucket of water in front of you. But then on someone else's turn, they'll play, oh, there's no new goal. Now you need to have the Wicked Witch of the East and the Fallen House in your playfield. And it's always changing. The rules of how many cards you can play each turn changes. How you have to discard cards. Curses come into effect, which will stop you from winning the game most of the time. But if you like card games that are constantly changing, that are silly and goofy and a little chaotic, I recommend those. Those are fun. It seems like it's a little nuts. They're really not. I believe this is my copy of Love Letter, which it was kind of an impulse buy from GameStop. The GameStop at the mall of where I used to live was having a mass clearance, and that was in there. I'm trying to remember Love Letter, but I think that was just an impulse buy because it was a game from Z-Man Games. And if you're familiar with games like Pandemic, that's kind of the reason why I got it. I didn't realize, but there's apparently a Batman version that's extremely hard to find and very expensive. So, might gonna try that one. Like I said, some of these are just impulse buys that I got because it looked interesting. This one is called Boss Monster, where you and up to 4 people, well, it's a 2 to 4 player game, you're basically creating your own dungeon, and basically it needs to be tough enough to make sure that no one gets through it. I have yet to play it. That was a gift from years ago. I guess the reason why I haven't really played that too much is because it's just a mechanic and a thing I'm not overly drawn to. Therefore, it's not one I'm very eager to get out. But I do want to try it at least once. At least once. So, moving on, I have Codex Naturalis, which is I guess the best way to assemble that, or to describe this game. Oh, here's the tin. It's in a cool little tin. Assemble the pages of the Codex with the secret manuscript, which lists the pieces of the 4 kingdoms that live in primary forest. So, like, each of the cards have, like, labeled with different spaces and icons, and you basically have to match them along the way. I saw a video on this. It was part of a lot deal that I bought, or I worked in with someone. And I have also yet to try that. So, I promise you, we're going to get to stuff that I have tried. I promise you. So, I've seen video gameplay of that. I've looked through it. It's really cool. I like the guild, like, not necessarily gilded, but like the card quality. And I like the idea of like you kind of like building your own like little tableau of cards, and you're connecting them via, you know, based on the icons in the center of the cards and whether or not you can unlock other cards to place down, whether they have matching symbols. It's really cool. It's, I dare even call it like, it's like a symbol matching game, but also like you can even argue a little engine builder, because you need to know what icons to play in order to play other cards. So if you're into stuff like that, go no further. I have a stack of really small games here that I kind of just want to rapid fire through. Struggle for Catan is kind of, I would say it's a card game version of Catan, but I argue Rivals of Catan did it better. This isn't that bad. It is what it is. I think this was just an impulse buy. I have yet to play that. Uno. It's Uno. Everyone knows how to play Uno. I've had people ask me what my favorite version of Uno is, and honestly, I think my favorite version might have to be the Rayman version on the Steam version of Uno, and that's just because it has the bonuses that I just happen to find more entertaining. Clue Suspect, the card game. This is Clue in the card game. Again, not a game I have a lot of information on, but I was told that this is actually a really good streamlined version of the main game of Clue. A game that I have slowly warmed up to over the years. I originally could not stand Clue, but then I kind of got into the spirit of it more, and the deduction and the detective aspect of it, and it's grown on me. It's grown on me, to say the least. So, what next? Oh, here's a fun one. So, I am not a fan of chess. Chess to me is too thinky. Chess to me is boring. And I'll say right now, a lot of that is just me having played chess when I was younger. It was never really a fun experience for me. My father was never someone who I enjoyed playing chess with, because he would always want me to play chess with him, and he would always win. And the one time I actually won, we didn't play too much after. So, but chess was never really fun. This game kind of borrows the ideas of chess and makes it a little more interesting, and that is Onitama. Let's get a better view of that. Now, Onitama is really cool because ultimately what it is, it's like chess, except you have 4 pawns and you have your master piece, and you can only move based on one, I think, of 3 cards that have been chosen before the game, and they signify like what area on the board all of your characters. And so you'd have to be like, I'm using the move of the dragon, and you can only move like in 1 of 4 spots. And they have a nice little deck of cards that tell you like you can only move in this spaces it is telling you. And the object of the game is to either take the other person's masterpiece, or you have to take the spot that they started in. Really fun game. I don't know. There's just something about that I like more than chess, and it's just because I feel like everyone is kind of held to that same level of skill, where you're only able to move according to one of several different movement cards, and anyone who suffers from analysis paralysis of chess, I feel like Onitama really helps get rid of a lot of that pressure, and I really like it for that. This was a fun game I learned at a game night, and that is No Thanks. This is a really fun pressure luck type game where I believe it's... Okay, so there's 33 cards, and there's a bunch of like little plastic token pieces, And, oh, I just heard someone. Oh, that'd be the garbage man. Sorry about that. Thought it was the mailman, kind of waiting on some things. And the premise of the game is really simple. You want to be able to have the least score humanly possible. And every turn you will have your choice to pick up the card that's in the center of the table, and you're going to take the full point value of that card. Or you take one of your little plastic tokens, you put it on top of it, and you say, no thanks. Now, how it works is those tokens count as negative, or yeah, they count as negative points, but you can only skip so many times, and eventually you might get stuck having to take a high cost card because you can't skip. Those little black tokens are essentially a skip. And like, let's say one turn you drew like a 19, but over the course of the game you're able to pick up like a 16, a 17, and an 18. Well, instead of originally scoring the 19, you're now going to score only the 16 because that's the lowest card in your set, and it's ongoing. So, very simple little game. I really like it. I will say the biggest frustrating thing about this is that the games are very short, and I will admit there is a lot of issue with sometimes these games can get very one-sided for one or two people, and it's not necessarily something that I would say it's the game that's going to hold together an all of a game night. Like that's a game that you play to kind of like get your quick game fix in, and then after like a few games you're done, you move on, you do something else. What next? Okay, I guess let me get this one out of the way. So, this is another lot of games that I got, and I'm trying to remember what they were. It was this. Oh, okay, it was this 3-game lot, and I really only got it for one game. First was Guns and Steel, which is a resource development card game. The other one is Age of Civilization, which is, I guess, a little worker placement resource management game. And then there's the game I was looking for, which was Harbor, which is a resource development, and I guess you could even say a stock market game, where you're trying to produce certain resources or specialty items, and then you sell them for profit, and you use that profit. That's how you get your points. And then you use them to buy, like, other, like, developments at a harbor, because this is all done in, like, some like, little harbor town. And I really like this game. It packs a big punch right out of the box. It's a lot of fun. I can understand why people don't necessarily like a lot of games like that, because you mentioned stock market, and they automatically, their mind goes to, you know, people trading on Wall Street. When I say stock market, I really just mean something you do or something other players can do are going to affect the price of goods in your game, and you need to sell goods in order to make money, and money ultimately is your win, your win condition. That's really what it means. So if there's any takeaway from stock market games, is don't let the name fool you. It's not like Acquire, which is, I'd say, the closest to a stock market game. It's more just money manipulation. Another small game which I have tried just very recently, it was Oh My Goods, which is like a little engine builder card game. I like it a lot. It's very quaint. It's very simple. Tons of expansions, which gives people a lot of playability. So, like, on your turn, you have your choice to, like, play your goods or produce your goods in order to play more cards and so forth. So it just kind of builds from there. I can't really go into full detail about it because me personally, I haven't played too much of it to really give a full detailed description about it, really. What else? Okay. So this is going to be my stand-in for the adult theme party game. And I did a video a while back comparing Cards Against Humanity and this game. And I said I'd prefer this game over Cards Against Humanity. This game has definitely lost its luster over the years, and I don't see myself going for it as much. But I'd say if you're with the right group of people and you want the more saucier humor, give this game a shot. Talking about Joking Hazard, and if you're not sure what it is, it's Cards Against Humanity, except it has pictures on the cards, it has illustrations, it allows you to manipulate the order in which you can play your answers based on the scenario. I just find this to be a little bit more illustrative in what it's trying to do, where Cards Against Humanity is... best way I can put this. Cards Against Humanity is designed for certain people who know how to read the room as far as what's funny and what's not funny. And the biggest problem I had with Cards Against Humanity is that Cards Against Humanity, I felt like that game, it caters way too much to people who have played it with the same people. Because if you're a new guy in there, like, your humor might not be known to the immediate group. So your jokes are your humor is gonna fall flat. And that's the biggest problem I have with that, is like Joking Hazards, I feel, kind of like restricts that to like the current round at hand. Whereas Cards Against Humanity is who's the funniest to everyone in the room. And I'm not a fan of a game that really isolates players that early on. So, but kind of moving on from that, we have another party game which I found to be better. Again, need the right group for it. It's a would you rather type game, and that is Trial by Trolley, whereas it's a team game, and you have to make sure that, you know, whoever the conductor is, that you can somehow convince them, hey, don't take this track and kill all of these things here because. And then, like, you lay out, like, oh, you don't want to take my track because, oh, look who's there. It's, you know, it's your whole family. But then, like, the other team can play negatives, be like, right, you could go there and you could run over your family. However, if you do, and they'll play, like, but you'll also be taking out the supercomputer that will eventually, like, lead to World War III and take over the world or something like that. So it's a lot of ridiculousness. It definitely takes the right... It definitely takes the right people to play it, but I don't know. There's something about it I find to be a little bit more funny in there. Just go into it with a very, you know, light heart, and you'll do just fine. This next game I love. It is a fantastic 2-player card game called Star Realms. I have talked about this before. I actually have this transferred over to an old Magic the Gathering Fat Pack box because I have the Frontiers expansion in here, and I have everything sleeved. So this game is really simple. You draw a hand, you play the whole hand that turn. You're either gaining currency to buy things from the shop, or you're attacking your opponent. Each person has 50 health points, and your goal is very simple. Just keep buying stuff from the shop. Your new stuff kind of goes into your discard, and then when you run out of cards to draw, you shuffle your discard. Boom! There's your new deck. It's reforming as you go. It is the quintessential card game that I will go to for people who like playing card game type board games, because more often, because I tell people all the time, like, I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I've played Magic the Gathering, I played Pokemon a little bit, but the first two I played competitively, and I can say the biggest hindrance of Yu-Gi-Oh is the fact that that game is 100% purely the meta game. Like, you cannot really do too well in Yu-Gi-Oh, or at least I couldn't do too well back when I used to play, because everything was about what the current meta cards were, because those won games, those won tournaments. Magic the Gathering wasn't so much about the meta, but at the same time, it was so daunting because there were so many cards. Like, you could go to a game night with a deck very similar to, like, what's currently doing well at, like, Nationals and win. But they also had their meta decks, too. And when I say meta, I mean, like, these are decks that are... these are the decks that are winning the tournaments. Star Realms eliminates all of that because you are given all of your cards right up front. Everyone has the same starting deck of, I think it's 10 cards. And the rest of the deck is just stuff you buy from the store and you just build from there, and it keeps going and going and going. I like that. And there's also different there's different, like, I think, I don't remember, like, guilds or groups, and you get bonuses for having multiple of them on the field at one time. So that's why I like Star Realms. It eliminates the meta aspect of the game, and it eliminates the overwhelming sense of there being too many cards, and it just boils it down to this, and I love it for that. It's a ton of fun. Oh boy. Okay. This next one has been a favorite of mine for a while. I like this game. I've kind of cooled off on it, but having come back to it again, I've kind of found a new love for it, and that is Quiddler. Quiddler is very simple. It's kind of like Scrabble, but in card form. Each turn, you're dealt X amount of cards, and you have to make a word out of those cards while being able to discard a card from your hand, and that's signifying that you have officially ended the round. Play usually goes like, oh, I don't want that card. I'm going to discard that, and I'm going to, pick up that card from the middle of the table. And it goes over multiple rounds. And you just try to make the best hand you can. Each letter has a different point value on it, and I forget how many rounds it plays to, but I really like this deck. This is like my favorite kind of like word game type game. I want to try to get into more. I'm just curious as to where to go from Quiddler. But Quiddler, tons of fun. Tons of fun, very simple. Trying to think of anything else about that game. No, I'm like at a loss of train of thought. Lost my train of thought. The next one is a risk-taking game called Welcome to the Dungeon. Very simple concept on this. You and everyone at the table chooses one of 4 different adventures. I believe it's the Barbarian, the Rogue, the Mage. Barbarian, Rogue, Mage. There's one more. Now I'm curious. Barbarian, Rogue, Mage, and who else? And the Warrior. And they each have, I want to say they have like 6 or 7 little items next to them that they're currently have on them at the start of the round. Now, what's going to happen is one at a time, you guys are going to draw from your dungeon deck, and you're going to decide whether or not this is going into the dungeon or whether or not it's going to stay out of the dungeon. Maybe you're setting up someone for, like, you're trying to set up yourself for a really easy dungeon, so you're just putting in all the small creatures. Maybe you're trying to set up someone for a breakneck run, which, you think they're going to be able to take everyone out, but really you're just setting them up for failure. Now, if there's, like, a big creature, let's say you drew the dragon, and you're like, I don't know if I can beat the dragon with this character, so you'd be like, I'm going to take this creature out of the dungeon. But in doing so, you have to remove one of the character's items away from him, and he cannot take that in with him to the dungeon. Now, these items range from more attack power, more HP. They auto-kill anything that is the vampire or, like, the golem. They have items that say automatically destroys creature with this symbol on it. And basically the last person left who going through this dungeon deck left without having passed, they then take what character is left on the table with what items they have, and you then go into the dungeon. If you can successfully go through that random hodgepodge deck and you're not dead, then you get a treasure. You get 2 treasures, you win the game. Very simple. Alright, moving on. This game is one I got, and I haven't really played too much of it. It is called Long Shot, the dice game. And how this works is it's a horse betting it's a horse racing / betting game, and the whole point of the game is you roll dice, you follow the instructions on them, you move them that many, you make bets along the way. So one dice has special actions, and certain cards have special actions, and based on what you roll, you can place more bets, you win money, you move creatures further. That's really all it is. It's a genre I don't know too much about. But I wanted to give it a shot for myself. I was on clearance at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, that'll do. That'll be my cheap find of the day. This one is actually a replacement copy because I actually sold this in a huge lot selling that I was having from my game collection. And, oh god, 30 minutes. And this is also a kind of whodunit, but it's Carmen Sandiego, and everyone's given a little whiteboard and a little folio with a little marker, and you have to try to find the person responsible who stole the item, and you're going to draw cards, and you're going to be... It's very similar to Clue, but it's the Carmen Sandiego it's the Carmen Sandiego IP, which I absolutely love, so that's why I got it. Alright, I think we got 2, 4, 6... I think the last 8 games. This game I'm very trivial on. I've played it. I didn't really feel the same buzz that everyone else got from it that told me how awesome it was, and that is One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is a social deduction game. If you don't know what social deduction is, everyone is given a secret role that only they know about. And then, before the start of the game, certain roles are going to have certain abilities. One Night Ultimate Werewolf's problem is that there's way too much open communication, and depending on what role some people get, the games can get very, very one-sided, and I don't like that. Like, someone can get a werewolf, and right away everyone can be like, oh, that person's the werewolf because I'm the seer, and I was able to see that card, and I'm like, the game can break itself, but I do understand why people like it and why it's lauded as one of the best social deduction games, and that is just because of what it can offer, and I appreciate that. But as of right now, it's fallen kind of flat, and I don't know. Still on social deduction, let's talk about Quest. Now, this is also a hidden, a hidden character type game, where everyone is given a secret role type game, sorry. Everyone's given a certain role. Each role has special abilities. In order for the forces of good to win, I believe they have to get the majority of all of the quests done and then vanquish evil, whereas all evil has to do is, I think they have to make at least three quests fail. And I don't want to get too much into it, but like, there's charms you can use in the game, which forces you to have to play against your alignment. There's characters that have secret abilities that are only known to them and no one else. There are people's abilities who basically have to lie about their alignment. And it's a game I have yet to really play, but it's one of those social deduction games that I really want to sink my teeth into, because having played Salem, a lot of people really like that, and I feel like that's going to be a good precursor for what to come. Alright, so let's see. This one is called The City. You are racing against 1 or 4 other people to create your own city, and you just do so by playing city cards from your hand, discarding others, sharing the building cost, and then you gain resources on there. You use those resources to build other cards. It's a very simple engine builder game, and I really like it for that reason. Tons of fun. A little bit of an outlier. I don't hear too many people talking about it, but if you're someone who likes very simple tableau building, engine builder type games, give it a shot. I haven't played it I think I played it once, like years ago. I enjoyed it, and I really haven't had the chance to play it again to really get a feel for it. The next two I'm just going to get out of the way, and that is Codenames and Codenames Duet. I really like Codenames. I like Codenames Duet. I think I even like Codenames Duet more than the original, because Duet is purely just a 2-player game of Codenames, and in order for you, and basically you both are looking to win, and without, hitting you know, the assassin word, which eliminates everyone. Codenames, the original, is more of a team-based game, which I like Codenames. I think Codenames gets a lot of hate because people look at it and they're like, it's a very simplistic type game. I don't know, there's just something about it that works. I played that, I played Duet, I played the Disney version. I like it. I can understand why people feel that it's overrated, because it kind of is, but at the same time, I like it. And it's a good way to get people into the hobby for a game night. It's not overly complex. It's not difficult. It's very easy to understand. And I feel like this is a good way to introduce people to the hobby. So, Codenames. Another great game I have found to get people into the hobby is this little card drafting game called Sushi Go. This is Sushi Go Party. This is the base game plus a bunch of fun little extras. And in this game, it's very simple. It's very simple. All the cards do different things, and you get like a hand of like starting. Let's say you get a hand of 7 cards. You're then going to pick one card from the hand, place it face down, and then you're then going to take your remaining hand of cards and you're going to pass it to the person on your left. You all reveal the card that you've chosen, and you're then going to take the cards that have been handed to you from the person on your right, and you're then going to look at them and you're going to be like, oh, I want that card. Like there's the dumpling card, which is you get 1 point for 1, you get 3 points for 2, you get 5 points for 3 of them, so on and so forth, and it just goes on. You get 5 points if you have 2 tempura shrimp. You get 6 points if you have the most maki rolls that round. And like there's so many other cards, and this adds way more cards to that, which makes the game really interesting, and it really kind of adds to the replayability of Sushi Go. And you play continues until you're down to like the last card, then you have to play it, and then you sit there and you score everything, and then after 3 rounds, whoever has the highest score wins. Very simple concept, very right to the point. I have found this is a very good little game to get people who have never really played board games or even like, you know, tabletop games in general. This is a very good first time game, and I've had a lot of great success with it. Staying in the tin games category, I have a co-op game which is called Forbidden Island, which is very simple enough. You move around this island and you want to collect treasures. You're working with other people to collect 4 different treasures. In order to get treasures, you have to draw them at the end of your turn and have a set of 4 of them. And then you go to the item or the treasure where you go to the little tile with the treasure piece on it, discard the 4 treasures that match the icon, you now have the treasure. You have to do that for 4 treasures, then you all have to get to the tile known as Fool's Landing, which is where the helicopter is, and then you all have to escape all before the island sinks into the sea forever. And after every turn, you're going to draw over cards that are going to correspond to one tile on this board. If you comes up once, the tile is flooded. If no one has shored up that tile, if that card gets played again, that tile disappears and it is no longer in play. If any one person is cut off from civilization, from like a part of the board where they cannot get to Fool's Landing, everyone loses. If Fool's Landing sinks, everyone loses. If one of the treasures sinks, everyone loses. And this is all going to correspond to the end of the turn, where you're then going to draw the Waters Rising. Like, you're going to draw 2 different cards. Like, you're going to draw your treasure cards, which could include cards that call Water Rising, and that number of cards changes. And it uses the pandemic system as far as which tiles are going to get flooded. So you always want to be on the lookout, and always want to keep an eye on your board and be like, make sure we're not letting these tiles flood, because if we hit on someone's next turn that card, then those cards that we've already drawn get reshuffled and get put back on top of the location deck, and they get drawn again. So it's very intimidating, a lot of fun. I've had a lot of success with this game, and I've had people tell me that it's very difficult. Maybe I have to play on a much harder setting, but I've had a lot of really good luck with that. So the last one in this is a a fun little, I don't know if you call it a party game, I don't know, but it's a card game that took all of us by surprise, and I think it became one of our top favorites of this year. It is called Muffin Time. This game is crazy. So, how it works is, to win the game, it needs to be your turn, and you need to have 10 cards in hand. Oh, and also, at any point during the game, you get 10 cards. You have to yell out, "It's Muffin Time." Everyone has to know that you have 10 cards in hand. And then if you start your turn and you still have 10 cards in your hand, you win the game. The crazy thing about this game is that, just like with Flux, the rules can change at any time. You can play traps that can do crazy amounts of things. Like, there's a trap card in this game where if you can get someone to high-five you, they then have to, I forget if they have to give you cards or if they have to discard cards, but then it's so funny. There's one card that literally says the minute someone else touches this card, like, they now have to give you, like, X amount of cards or something. It's so funny because, like, I'll just take that card and set it right on top of the deck, and therefore, like, the people have no other choice but to either play cards, and it's just like, crap. But this is a fun, chaotic little card game. It plays up to 8 people, and every card in this deck is different. I don't think there's there's not any 2 cards in here that are the same. There are some cards that change the winning condition entirely, like instead of having, 10 cards, you can have 9. Or, hey, if you have this character in your hand, you automatically win the game. Just things like that. There's counter cards that you can play that'll stop people from taking, from doing things to you that can negatively affect you. But I love that card game. I can't recommend it enough. It's on Amazon. It's very cheap. I recommend checking it out. Especially if you like kooky little card games. It doesn't get too silly to where it's telling you to do things you wouldn't normally do. There are 1 or 2 cards that I'm just like, oh god. Like, one of them is you have to talk like a baby until it's like that player's next turn. And if at any point you stop talking like a baby, you instantly, like, have to lose cards. So it's craziness. It's fun. It's just a great way. It's an awesome little way to kind of like break the ice and get people to laugh and have a good time. And at the end of the day, that's what this hobby is. It should be about people having fun and having a good time. It shouldn't be about how many games you have in your collection. It shouldn't be about if you have the most expensive or beefiest game in your collection. It should be about fun. And I have a lot more respect for the people who tell me that, like, they have like a they have a game night where they play Exploding Kittens, but they play in teams and they do it tournament style. I have a lot more respect for them than the person who brags about their Kickstarter deluxe edition of Frosthaven that is probably going to take them from now until the rest of the year to finish. Because I'm sure to them that's a lot of fun, but you're not going to get longevity out of the game that you can only really play once. I'm talking about games that you can play multiple times and have fun with. So that's just me. So that's going to be part 1 of this, and it's almost 45 minutes. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. And that's just the small games collection. Oh brother. Oh, how am I going to do this? If you guys stuck around for this long, I appreciate it. I'm trying to get more stuff out there, man. There's just been so much stuff going on over the last month. And it would mean the world to me. You watch, let people know about it. Stay tuned whenever part 2 drops. Trust me, it's only going to get crazier from here. So, until next time, you all have a wonderful day.